Welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast, an Australian twist on all things NFL. The boys are cracking into a nice cold beer from Burnley Brewing. Let's join them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, as always, JA, and I am joined by the great man, Tampa Bay Bucks fan, owner of US Sports Gear, proud sponsor of the Vault Studios NFL podcast, my great man, Richie Garraway. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. How you doing?
I was about to say again, it's been a week since we spoke, but, you know, that people just aren't going to keep believing that shit, Richie.
Nah.
I'll tell you what, we're back in full flight at football training and had a fairly intense session last night, and I'm realizing that I'm getting too old for this shit. Like, I'm going full Murtaugh. Like Murtaugh, what's his name? Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. I don't know how much more I got in me. My body is a training session. So I might have to start looking at maybe badminton or, you know, indoor tennis or something like that. Indoor touch footy, that'd be a good one. Something a bit more light to deal with, you know, help my body recover.
Something a little less contact.
Yeah, not about that. I'll just let my body fail like everyone else. I'd say a massive week in the NFL, but let's be honest, we were just discussing, this is like the quietest I've ever seen. Like, we got guys at training camp. There's just no news. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers has got a deal worked out and he's going back, but then there's nothing official yet. I don't believe it. I don't believe he'd be that spiteful. I don't believe he's doing this all just for a little bit of extra money. No way an NFL player is trying to use his stardom to get more money. I don't believe it, Rich. No way that's all he's going to do is money.
I wouldn't think so.
If it's the case, I'll be a little disappointed in it. I'll be he'll lose some respect from me. If that's what he's doing this all for, to get a bigger contract, I'll be like, come on, you don't need money, man. Money shouldn't be your motivator anymore.
No, he needs a couple of receivers and a couple of linemen. He'll be set.
If I was Rodgers, I genuinely wanted to win. I'd be going into management and go, hey, cut $10 million off my salary. I don't care. I don't need money. Back end me some, you know, put it in the back end so I get it later. And let's go sign me someone. Let's go get a $10 million a year receiver, which they're all gone now. But, you know, if you really cared, that's what you'd be doing. But anyway, who cares about Aaron Rodgers? We'll do something with some news. I want to congratulate Dylan, who won his second one in about 3 months. Won the Troy Aikman helmet from Patreon this month. Little figurine too. Cool little, hey, I'm Troy Aikman. I know what Troy Aikman sounds like. All I know is he's not a good commentator anymore. Congratulations on Dylan for winning that, and Aaron Laxon for getting the beers. I've sent Aaron a message. I haven't heard back from him yet. So let me know, Aaron, where you want me to send them down in, I believe you're in sunny Frankston because you play for the Sharks. So hopefully see you on the field this year, mate. I hope you're well, and congratulations. And thank you to all our patrons. It goes an absolute long way. We had a new one sign up this month. Richie, our good friend Scotty Ditcham, on board.
Oh, fantastic.
He said he was losing that much money gambling. He may as well get into something. He may as well spend $10 a month that he might win something. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, Scott's a champion. What's his company? Onside Kick Productions. Go and have a look. Does a lot of stuff for local sports, local gridiron, some really cool live streaming and video stuff. He's a top bloke, Scotty. So Onside Kick Productions, get in there and have a look. Give him a like and follow on Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. Does some cool stuff. So around basketball, all sorts of stuff. Seen him doing all sorts of stuff. So get around it. Bit of soccer. Next month's Patreon's a really cool one. It's our first jersey.
Oh, Juju.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster jersey, which obviously outstanding wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is back there for another year, so opportunity to get it now. And who knows, if he has a big year, could go up in value, that sort of stuff. That's how this stuff works. It goes off value. But yeah, that's this month's. So hope for patrons, if you want to get in there, $10 a month. There's a link below. Jump in. Said $10 a month, chance to win. And thanks to all our current patrons. We love you guys a lot. And thank you to our sponsors, Burnley Brewing. Love your work. Obviously, you know, there's a box of beer and a stubby holder that goes with the Patreon as well. So first person that comes out of the hat gets to have first pick. Second pick gets the second pick. We've had the beer picked twice now before the helmets, which I thought was pretty cool. So people obviously love Burnley Brewing, and why wouldn't you? And what I do is I put together a little mixed box for you with lots of different flavors. There's a coffee beer in there, a couple of other ones. So you get to have a bit of a try out, try the ones you like, and then hopefully you can go and, you know, buy a box of the one you love. They are everywhere. They're in pretty much every state now. Most bottle shops have them. So pretty easy to find. But thank you to our friends at Burnley Brewing in 648 Bridge Road, Richmond. Richie, now that that's all out of the way, let's get in to the NFC West. Great division last year. You had the Seahawks winning it at 12-4. The Rams were came second, and they were a playoff team at 10-6. Arizona just missed out on the playoffs at 8-8, and the San Francisco 49ers rounded out the division at 6-10. Which, if you look at the rest of the divisions, 6-10 is, just looking quickly now, yeah, it's the highest finishing fourth place by. The next closest is
A couple of games.
Yeah, the next closest is the Denver Broncos, who are 5-11. But in that division where you've got, the next best team's 8-8, it's two playoff teams. 6 wins was pretty impressive. So we like the 49ers. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with the San Francisco 49ers. I'll just go through their departures from last year. They lost defensive end Ronald Blair, wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. Sorry, I just lost my spot. Solomon Thomas, the Australian, left. Richard Sherman, currently unsigned, but not there anymore. Tevin Coleman, the running back, has gone to the Jets. Kendrick Bourne has gone to the New England Patriots. Kerry Hyder, defensive end, has gone to Seattle, so we'll discuss him later. Jerick McKinnon has left. Akello Weatherspoon has gone over to Seattle. CJ Beathard, my favorite backup quarterback. Jacksonville Jaguars. Nick Mullins, my other favorite backup quarterback, has gone to the Eagles, and Trent Taylor, the slot receiver, has gone to the Cincinnati Bengals. Their additions, and they had some really, really good ones. They got Alex Mack, the center from the Atlanta Falcons, winding up his career, but still a solid player. Samson Ekuban, they got over from the LA Rams. A lot of interdivision moving in these teams, which is strange. Mohamed Sanu from Detroit came over. Wayne Goldman from the New York Giants came over. Maurice Hurst Jr., the big D tackle, and Arden Key, another defensive end, came from the Las Vegas Raiders. Solid interior lineman. Marquise Lee from the New England Patriots. Benny Flower from the New Orleans Saints, both wide receivers. Tony Jefferson, they signed on a 1-year deal, who was out of the NFL last year, I believe, due to COVID. He's a safety, bit of a safety kind of hybrid nickel linebacker. And then in the draft, they had the 3rd pick. They traded up to get it, and they took Lunch Tray from North Dakota State with the 3rd overall pick. Not really many names that, Aaron Banks, defensive guard in the 2nd round out of Notre Dame. They do produce fairly good linemen. Trey Sermon, the running back, in the 3rd round. No doubt he'll be a 1,000-yard runner in the Shanahan system next year. And Ambry Thomas, the cornerback out of Michigan, in the 3rd round as well. I guess, Richie, I think let's start with the elephant in the room for the San Francisco 49ers. You've got Jimmy Garoppolo, and then you bring in Lance Trey. I know that's Trey Lance. But I like to call him Lunch Tray because I think it's funny. And you know what? It gets a cheap laugh every time. Even Richie, he smirked a little bit. It wasn't that funny, but he was still kind of got him a little bit. And that's why I do it. But you've got these two guys in the quarterback room. Also got Josh Rosen in that quarterback room as well at the moment, which is hilarious. But how do you think that's going to go? Where do you think it's going to go?
I think it'll start with Jimmy G starting the season. I don't think there's any way paying him what they're paying him, he won't be given the opportunity to start the year.
Yeah.
I think I haven't looked at their schedule for their first handful of games, but I would think if they were to lose a few of them, it could be a pretty quick pull before they go to Trey Lance. I think they start with the Lions, the Eagles, the Packers, and the Seahawks,
and then Arizona. So it's not the easiest vibe. Like you'd expect.
You left out the key thing. You left the key thing of that out.
Bye after the Arizona Cardinals.
So they're going to have 2 division games.
Lance Trey will start October 24th against the Indianapolis Colts. You heard it here first, barring injury.
Yep, that would be my tip to when we'll see him if it's not going well. Now, if Jimmy G comes out playing outstandingly, they're not going to make a move for making a move's sake, and they'll keep rolling with him. No team lost more games to injury last year of quality players than the 49ers did. And they still managed to go 3-3 in the division, which is a tough division.
Yeah.
I think I saw their season total over-under was 10.5 wins. That's a significant improvement, even if they've got everybody healthy. This is one of the toughest divisions to pick, and you can just about put them in any order.
Yeah.
I like what the talent on that team is really good. If they're healthy, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And that quarterback situation, I mean, that could be just anything. Like, really, it's a genuine toss of a coin. What could happen there?
It's a stacked in terms of, it's a very, very talented offense. Like, they've brought in Trent Williams, got the biggest contract in the history of the NFL. He's an outstanding left tackle, one of the best of the past decade, comfortably. Yep. Laken Tomlinson is a guy who's really rejuvenated his career, former first-round pick playing left guard. They bring in Alex Mack. You know how I feel about teams that bring in veteran centers. It never hurts a team. It never hurts an offensive line. Now, is Alex Mack the Alex Mack from 5 years ago where he was the best center in the NFL? No, he's not. But he's still very good. He's still an upgrade on what they had last year, and he's an upgrade across the line. Then got McGlinchey at right tackle, who's a first-round pick. Struggled a bit last year, but, very talented, and I think he can get it back on track this year. And then you've got Banks, who'll come in, most likely start at right guard, the rookie out of Notre Dame, who's coming into a very experienced line. A lot of experience there. Other than Banks, the least experienced guy is McGlinchey, who's going into his 4th season, and he's a first-round pick, so he's very talented. You then look at receivers. Samuel, broke out last year, in my opinion. He's an absolute, he's an absolute weapon in the open field. He's an elite athlete. You then got Brandon Ayuk, a rookie from last year, who did really well, which a lot of people didn't expect, was extremely productive, rated quite well. I believe you've got Travis Benjamin, who's come over from the Chargers. He's a bit of a slot receiver there as well. And then their running back room, it seems to always be loaded. Like, Mostert is what a lot of people think is the most talented guy out of the running backs. And I tend to agree. Then you've got Wayne Gallman, who's a solid running back who played a lot last year for the New York Giants when Saquon Barkley was out. Jeff Wilson's got a lot of speed. Trey Sermon, the rookie I mentioned earlier. You've got guys like Kyle Juszczyk that get involved in the passing game. He's not just a fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. He does a lot of things very well and is very dynamic in that offense. And you wrap that all up, and I've forgotten, possibly pound for pound, the best football player in the league.
Yeah, Kittle.
That's where that's where I'm going to finish it on that offense. Very solid, very good. We know how good Shanahan is as a coach. He has been productive in every single system. If Lunch Tray can do what he needs him to do, which I think he can athletically, move, throw on the run. He likes to move the pocket, create that outside zone, boot back of it, and he's a very good athlete. So I think he's going to be in there. I really like this offense. I really like this team. Flip over to the defense. No chumps on defense either. They've got Fred Warner, who I think's taken the mantle now as the best linebacker in the NFL, off-ball linebacker in the NFL. Wagner's been it for the last 4 or 5 years. Warner's taken that now. He's very good. Jason Verrett, who, well done turning his career around. He was 2 knee injuries, highly rated first-round pick, knee injury in college, got back, played really well. Here, Frog, got back, played really well, got injured again, has stayed there, rode it out, and he's now, is he the guy that they thought he would be? No, but that's not his fault. But he is a really, really good corner now. And then you go over to the defensive line. They get Nick Bosa, who did not play a game last year back, who is, probably one of the most explosive defensive linemen in the NFL right now. Him and his brother Joey, Myles Garrett, especially for edge guys, maybe a Von Miller. He's up there. He was not only rookie of the year in his first year, but he was very close to being defensive player of the year. I think he's going to come back and be at full flight. He hurt himself very, very early in the piece, so he's had a full recovery. He's going to be fine. D Ford is a really good edge rusher that suffered through a lot of injuries last year as well. Eric Armstead, strong guy, can play end, inside. Again, suffered injuries last year. Devin Kinlaw, number 10 pick in the draft last year, had some rookie woes. I can promise you it's really, really hard to play defensive line in the NFL your first year. There's a lot of things that they do differently, a lot of veterans that know what they're doing and know how to handle defensive linemen on the O-line. So all in all, they're very strong. And I think barring injuries last year, they would have competed for this division. I think they probably would have won it or competed very close for it. The concern for this team is the quarterback position and what they're doing there. If Lance is really good, he's going to start, because I don't think Shanahan's worried about what people see of him. Because let's be honest, if they were to flame out this year, Shanahan's then on the hot seat. I don't think he gets fired, but I think he's very, very close to next season. So he's got some pressure on him now. They played in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. They went 6-10. Injuries played a big part. But the pressure's on him now. He's got to produce again.
Oh, definitely. The front office as well. All the moves they've made over the last handful of years to bring talent in or guys who they believe are going to make it, they're all there now.
Yep.
So, last year, you get a pass in my book. I mean, the injuries were ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have Garoppolo for most of the season as well. So they had...
That quarterback room was a joke.
Yeah, CJ Beathard and Nick Mullen.
Everybody got to start. Everyone got to start for that team. I think you and I were about to get called up for the 49ers last year. So it was just one of those years.
Yeah.
Toss it out the window. There's going to be a lot of expectations. But again, it's a bloody tough division, as we're going to talk about.
Yeah, this division could be anyone's, but I just think my opinion on these guys are they've got all the pieces to do it. And there is no reason why this team shouldn't be coming into the season thinking they're competing for a Super Bowl again. With the players 100%. They get back in the park, they're right there. And if Lance is good, that will speed up this very quickly because it's not often a team like this gets that lower pick, gets an opportunity to pick a quarterback up that low. It's a luxury what they got to do. And I think that's why they've kind of taken a swing at Lance, and we'll see how it plays out. But I said, I'm excited to watch them this year. I really am. I think they're going to – I like San Fran. I think they're going to be good. It sucked them losing the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. They're one of the teams I wouldn't mind seeing up there again. So let's go to the Arizona Cardinals. I'll go through their departures. They lost tight end Dan Arnold, running back Kenyon Drake. Larry Fitzgerald, I believe he's playing again. They've got him on here as to be decided, but I think he's re-signed. Patrick Peterson left to the Minnesota Vikings. Hassan Reddick left to the Carolina Panthers. Trent Sherfield left to the San Francisco 49ers. They signed the corpse of AJ Green from the Cincinnati Bengals. They signed the corpse of JJ Watt from the Houston Texans. Ryan Winters, the offensive guard. The corpse of Malcolm Butler from the Tennessee Titans. Safety Sean Williams from the Cincinnati Bengals. The corpse of Colt McCoy from the New York Giants. And James Conner from the Pittsburgh Steelers to play some running back. In the draft, they went with Xavier Collins, the linebacker out of Tulsa in the first round. All reports are he's a fairly good operator. Second round, they took Rondale Moore, who was kind of one of the most polarizing guys in the draft this year. Very small, very fast, very powerful. He's going to be boom or bust. I don't see him being anywhere in between. He's either going to be great or really bad because he's quite small. We talk about their staff. They've still got... they also traded for Rodney Hudson from the Las Vegas Raiders, which is a really good move. One of the best centers in the NFL for the last couple of years. Again, getting up in age a bit, but as I said about Alex Mack, he's better than Alex Mack, and never hurts to add a veteran center, in my opinion. I think centers are the best things about football. Everyone should love them and appreciate them and treat them nicely, even at practice, and don't hit them that hard and let them do what they want to do. But the Arizona Cardinals, Rich, give me a takeaway. What are you liking about it? I know you're a Kyler Murray man. You love him. Is he living up to
I think so. And he's obviously an system that suits him. It's the same system from college. My concern is the talent around him. I think this is the most talentless team in the division. Not that there's none, but if you want to play like for like, or if we build an all-star team out of the West, not that many Cardinals would be on it. And that is a concern. They've got Hopkins, who's obviously elite.
Buddha Baker? He's elite. I love Buddha Baker.
Yeah, he's a gun.
You're right, though. After that, there's nothing.
Exactly. It kind of drops away a bit. So I think long-term, I genuinely believe their quarterback, issue when you talk about teams, you're either happy with them or you're not, is solved for them. But I just don't think there's enough talent there for them to compete. I mean, they missed out on the playoffs by a tiebreaker from memory with the Bears off the top of my head. So
as well.
Yeah, so they could have theoretically been in there, but at the same time,
tired either. He's still not decided.
He's still there. Okay.
If he's going to play, he'll play for Arizona. He said, but he's very old now.
Yeah, he is.
You'd still take him in a heartbeat because he's the sort of guy that will come back for vet minimum just to play. Like he won't be like, oh, give me all the money. He doesn't care. He's not Terrell Owens. He hasn't got no to pay for, so he'll be fine. I I really do agree with your comment about the talent on this team. I said, love Buda Baker, love Hopkins. We all know my feeling on Hopkins and what a steal Hopkins was for them. There's absolutely zero doubt about it. But then you've got JJ Watt. As I said, the corpse of JJ Watt, he's been okay the last couple of years on a really bad team. So I don't know. Putting him on a slightly better team might help. But you've got Chandler Jones, who has been an elite pass rusher over the years. But let's be honest, he's coming off an Achilles tear. He's coming off a bad injury that came mid-season. So he's older. Like, I'm just trying to see how old he is. He's not a young man. He's well into his 30s. He is born. He's 31.3 years old, according to Pro Football Focus. I'm glad they give me that 0.3. He's 31 years old, which is getting up there for a defensive lineman, 100%. There's question marks everywhere, especially on defense. They don't have great corner talent. Murphy's not a great player. I don't think Byron Murphy's that good. I don't think Malcolm Butler is very good at all. He hasn't been good in Tennessee. He makes some plays here and there, but he gets burnt a lot. Buda Baker, love. And then you've got Simmons. Isaiah Simmons, 8th pick in the draft last year. A guy that I think if you can use him well, can be super productive for you. And we saw it in parts last year, in some big moments, him making big plays. And I hope we see that develop. And then if Collins, their other first-round pick from this year, if they can become, if he can be real good too, you've got that centerpiece of your linebackers. But again, Rich, it's a question mark. We don't know. It's not like the 49ers where we know Fred Warner's the best linebacker in the NFL. No, we know Nick Bosa's a gun. We've seen it. You know what I mean? Like we know Trent Williams is a superstar. Like there's no guy here that I'm like, I'm going to fly my flag that this guy is the best player in his position in this, can be the best player in this division, except for Hopkins and Buda Baker. And even Buda Baker, you could probably convince me with other safeties. Jamal Adams is pretty good. There'd be an argument. Hopkins is the only non-argument for me, but I'm not sold on it. And I think 8-8 last year, not that productive. I think Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think he's that good a coach. I think he makes really bad decisions. Like we joke all the time, Richie, he needs a 12-year-old kid that plays a lot of Madden there to help him with play clock and calling. He makes bad play calls in bad situations. And a massive part of their production came off Kyler Murray running the ball and making plays, which is terrific until you get late in the season and he gets hurt, which has happened 2 years in a row now. Yeah. He's little. He's getting hit by big dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vegas has set their over-under total at 8 games again this year. So,
that's bang on.
I think that's about the mark.
I'll take the under because I think they're the 4th worst team in this division. And I like the Cardinals. I like so many guys on their team. I really do like them. I think Isaiah Simmons, I've got a bit of a crush on him. I think he's great. I love Hopkins. I want Rondale Moore to be really good. I don't think AJ Green's going to be productive. I'm not buying it.
No, and I read a couple of articles that were really high on that signing, and I'm like, this is just a dude who's just, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think he's going to bring a lot. It's not like putting a genuine threat opposite Hopkins so you can say, here we go. It's just not like that.
I would have preferred them to go and sign, who's the guy who played for the Raiders last year that went to the Patriots? Aguilar. That would have been a better signing to pair with Hopkins, a guy that can genuinely take the top off. Now, are they hoping Rondale Moore can do that? I don't know. Rondale Moore's not that sort of guy. He's not a deep threat. He's 5'8", He's 5'8" and 150 pounds dripping wet. Like, he's not an outside guy. He'll be able to do some damage in the slot and on jets and that sort of stuff, but I wouldn't rely on it as a rookie. Max Williams, solid tight end, nothing to get excited about. I don't know. I think bottom line is my takeaway from the Cardinals are that I think they're going to rely on Kyler Murray to make them look more productive. Murray and Hopkins will make them look more productive than what they are. But in the long run, the same thing is going to happen. They'll win some early games, and then Murray will get dinged up again, and they'll struggle down the stretch because he'll be hurt, and he won't be able to run with it, and he won't be able to make those explosive plays anymore that make them look better than what they are. I think they were a bit of a myth last year. And I would love them to be good, but I can't see it. I can't see it right now. And by good, they'll probably be 6-10. They're not going to be a bad team in terms of the NFL, but this division's too tough. And I think there's 3 teams that are better than them. And it's
and I always like to look at the start of the season. They open with the Saints, the Titans, the Vikings, the Jags. before they get into a couple of conference games. So it's
Wow. So Titans, that's at the Titans. That's a loss.
Yeah.
Minnesota, I'll give them Minnesota and I'll give them Jacksonville.
but they're
No.
at Saints and then at Titans.
Yeah. Then at Rams.
So, it's at the start of a season is so important. And we'll talk about the Seahawks when we get to them, but they started 5-0, then they had that terrible run in the middle of the year, 3-3, and everyone was like, "What the hell's wrong with the Seahawks?"
I know it was wrong.
But the start of the season is where, as I said, you can't get those wins back.
No.
If you're losing games early, it makes it so hard. You've got to get those wins in the bank early in the year. And those first 4 or 5 games are so important. And they've got 2 really tough road trips. And then, a couple of more winnable games at home before 2 division games. That's a tough 6 start.
Yeah.
So, you can't afford to trip up.
No, I agree. When we get to our prediction show, I'm not super high on them. I'm really not. I think this division is just too hard. Let's move on to the LA Rams. Big off season for the Rams. They're loaded with talent. There's a lot of top end paid talent, but they're loaded. The big move was the trade. They bought in Matt Stafford, got rid of Jared Goff. They lost Michael Brockers to the Rams. They lost Malcolm Brown, the running back, to the Dolphins. They lost Gerald Everett, the tight end, to the Seahawks. Blake Bortles has gone over to the Packers. Morgan Fox, the defensive lineman, has gone to the Panthers. John Johnson, star safety for the last couple of years, they just couldn't afford to keep him. He's gone to the Browns. Josh Reynolds, the wide receiver, has gone to the Titans. Samson Ekiban, talked about earlier. He's the outside linebacker who's gone to the 49ers. They brought in, obviously, Matt Stafford. They also lost Austin Blythe, the center, to the Chiefs, which was a bit of a loss. He's a veteran guy. They brought in Deshaun Jackson. They've signed Deshaun Jackson, which I'd forgotten about.
Saw that, yeah.
Well done. Kareem Orr, the cornerback, is from the Titans. And Corey Bajorquez, the punter from the Bills, they brought in. That's the only people they've brought in. So they're in a real bind, the LA Rams, right? Draft. I've got the draft here as well. They didn't have a first-round pick. They took Tutu Atwell, the wide receiver out of Louisville. He's a real jet, isn't he, Tutu Atwell? Isn't that his calling card? You're more of a college guy than me. No other guys that jump off the screen for me. I'm sure our college football boys who released a podcast last week, and it was outstanding. Very funny. Very, very funny and very knowledgeable, those boys. So tune into that. But yeah, I'm sure they'd know more about these guys, but nothing that jumps off the screen to me. When you don't have first-round picks and you don't have many early picks, it's hard for me, but in particular, because I don't know many college guys. Looking at their roster, and let's start offensively, right? I'm just going to try to get their 11 personnel. So Deshaun Jackson comes in. He's that take it off the top sort of receiver. Cooper Kupp, outstanding slot wide receiver. Woods is a very underrated wide receiver.
Couldn't agree more.
Very, very good. Tyler Higbee, again, very underrated tight end. Cam Akers, really good rookie season. He's looking to take a bigger leap this year with Malcolm Brown gone. Then you've got Whitworth, who they got back from injury in the playoffs and made a difference. He'll start at left tackle. Edwards will start at left guard. David Edwards, haven't heard of him before, so good luck. He rated okay last year, according to Pro Football Focus. Julian Corbett, Boston Corbett, who was a former Brown. He'll start at center. Evans will start at right guard. Bobby Evans, I believe he's ex-Detroit. And then you've got Rob Havenstein, the right tackle, who had a down year a couple of years ago, was better last year, and I think they'll look for him to continue to grow. But solid there. But the story is here. They were a good offense last year. Who's the guy? I'm having Sean McVay. Sorry, I was having a mental blank on the coach. Best looking coach in the NFL. Shortest too. They bring in Matthew Stafford. I don't care how you sell this. He is a massive upgrade from Jared Goff. This is the biggest upgrade any team got this offseason at the quarterback position. There's no doubt about it.
Could not agree more. And this is
no draft pick got a bigger upgrade than what they're getting right now.
This is why
talent. I'm
so high on the Rams this year, and it's all because of Matthew Stafford. You and I were talking all last year as soon as we heard that he was probably going to go. Like, imagine he lands here, imagine he lands there, and all the different scenarios. This is a great landing spot for him. This is such a good spot for him. He is such an upgrade over Goff. I cannot wait to see what he can do in McVay's offense. There's tons of talent around him. I think the Rams could be anything next year. They've got a very good defense. And with Stafford now under center, they could be anything on offense. I'm super high on them literally because of that move.
Yeah, and people are going to say, oh, but they're defensive guys. They pay 2 guys on their defense more money than anyone else. And they go, you know what? I'd pay those 2 guys. Any team in the NFL would pay those 2 guys. Aaron Donald is just no doubt in my mind the best player in the NFL.
Yes.
There's not even, I don't even, like, everyone goes, oh, Patrick Mahomes. It's only Patrick Mahomes because he's a quarterback. That's it. Yep. If you take positional value out of it, Aaron Donald is head and shoulders above anyone else in this league. No one has been more dominant. I thought JJ Watt was going to be the best, dominant defensive lineman I'd ever seen. Aaron Donald's blown him out of the water, if you ask me. He's better than JJ Watt in his prime. Now, JJ Watt was outstanding, but 3 defensive players in a row, he's awesome. And then you've got Jalen Ramsey. Whatever you put around those guys, you're going to have a solid defense because of those 2 guys alone. Like they're gonna pick up and they're gonna hide a lot of things.
Yeah, playing in the secondary becomes a hell of a lot easier when the quarterback can't see who they're throwing it to because the pass rush is in his face every play.
He comes from the inside. There's
exactly.
No one, I've never seen anyone more dominant a pass rusher from the inside. JJ Watt did it on the edge a lot when he was prime. He kills people inside.
Yeah, the underestimation of the importance of someone who can just move the pocket up in a QB's face is, that difference is astronomical. And it makes life easier to be everybody else on that defense. It is the one position on defense that makes everybody else's easier. You can have an electric off-the-ball linebacker, and he's a really important player for you, but he does not change or make every single other player's job easier.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-tech or a 1-tech who's as elite as Donald changes it for every other player on defense.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And they also brought in Leonard Floyd, who, I think he played for Detroit. Maybe he was there last year. He's a solid edge rusher as well, though. And the beauty for him is he's never going to get double teamed.
No.
Ever. The running, they are going to be really worried. Also, Taylor Rapp, the safety, had a really good rookie year last year. I think he's going to grow again. They've got Kenny Young, who came over from the Ravens mid-season in that trade for the corner, who's a real outspoken corner that's been to like 15 teams already. He's at Ravens now. Name's in my mind. It'll come back to me. But yeah, they got him, who's a former first-round pick. He'll play, pardon me, he'll play linebacker for them. There's enough talent there. It's a real tough sell, but I think when we get to our prediction show, a lot would have to change to make me not put the LA Rams number 1 in this division. Great coaching. They're very well coached. Very productive offensive players at almost every position. There's not really maybe interior line, but the way McVay runs things, it's not an issue. So they're very productive, and they've got stars on defense. And stars are what make a defense good. Ramsey and Donald are going to create turnovers with how good they are. And that's what good offense needs. They'll just churn. And Stafford.
Yeah. And my favorite thing that I always like to go to, and everyone who listens to the show knows I'm always going to do this, their opening games are against the AFC West. They open with the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, and then they play the Bears. What a gift. What an opening part of your schedule gift. You don't have to play the best team in the AFC West until much later. But what an opening start. You couldn't dream of a better one. There is a playoff team there, but not of any caliber. What a great start. And I always talk about how many all-pro quarterbacks do you have to go against? We used to say Pro Bowl, but everyone makes Pro Bowl now. And, if you look at that start, what do you got? Herbert? That's it? Like, what an amazing start to the season. They could come out 4-0 and could be flying out of the gate.
100% confidence up. And then I can't reiterate this enough. They added Matthew Stafford. Like, if this guy wasn't in Detroit, it blows my mind. People who don't think that was that was an upgrade. There are so many people, and I've been told, Richie, I don't give enough of my own opinion and don't put myself out there enough sometimes on this show, which I found hard to believe, but I'll do it now. Come into the season, Matthew Stafford will be the best rated quarterback in this division. And I know Russell Wilson, all that, he will be the best quarterback in this division this season.
Can I give you some stats?
Yeah, go
for the people who've forgotten about Stafford because of where he plays. He's passed for over 45,000 yards. That's over 25 miles.
Has he played 10 years yet?
282 touchdowns. And he's also got another 1,000 on the ground with 14 more scores across 165 games. This guy's a baller. He was just in Detroit.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's tough as nails too. Like one of the toughest quarterbacks ever. And from all reports, an outstandingly hard worker and like leader and all that, which I've actually heard Jared Goff was as well. He was a very hard worker, and the guy, they did like him a lot. But it was funny. You know what the funny thing about that? Who was the defensive end? I just said Michael Brockers, who badmouthed when they traded Stafford, said, yeah, it's going to be good to have Stafford in here. It's a great quarterback. And the week later, he got traded to Detroit with Goff. That was one of the funniest. So he's sitting there going, yeah, no, it's going to be great to have a veteran quarterback. It's such an upgrade. Rah, rah. It's like, hey, Michael, fuck off to Detroit too, you dickhead. You go play with your old quarterback. I couldn't believe. How could you do a guy that dirty? If that was me, I'd just been like, I'm not going. I'm not going there. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
As I said, Detroit, where everyone's hopes and dreams go to die.
Seriously, it's really like that. Like no one wants to play in Detroit. That's why like a lot of the only players that go there are like when a coach goes there, like Patricia, he takes all the guys that no one wants from his old team basically and overpays the crap out of them to get them. But yeah, LA Rams all over him. Stafford will have an outstanding season. Again, we don't predict injuries, so barring injuries, I think he's going to play all 17 games. Feels weird saying that. Play all 17 games, he's going to have an outstanding year. I really do think he will. Let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks. 12-4, which surprised me. I did remember them being good, but 12-4 last year. I'll go through the players they lost. They lost running back Carlos Hyde, wide receiver Philip Dorsett, starting corner Shaquille Griffin went to Jacksonville, wide receiver David Moore, tight end Jacob Hollister, D tackle Jaron Reed, who went to Kansas City, who we talked about. He was, really, really good for them. Bit injury prone, and then cornerback Quentin Dunbar, who's gone to Detroit, who was solid for them last year as well. They added Akello Weatherspoon, Akello Weatherspoon from the 49ers, the cornerback, pretty solid player. Gerard Everett, the tight end from the Rams. As I said, there's a lot of interdivision movement going on here. Running right guard Gabe Jackson, they traded over from the Las Vegas Raiders. They really gave up nothing for him. He's a guy who's been very productive in the past and had a couple of down years due to injury, but I think he could get back. Kerry Hyder Jr., D tackle Al Woods, defensive end Alden Smith. They have added cornerback Pierre Desser and D tackle Robert Kimdiche. Does that name sound familiar, Rich? Do you remember Robert Kimdiche?
Sure do.
Fell out the window. Doing nothing wrong. He just accidentally fell out a window.
Fell out.
Went from top 5 pick to 30th and has done nothing since because of all reports are he's a bit of a knucklehead. But hey, I'm all for second chances. I think there's Alden Smith's like 45th chance. So, and I think he's in trouble with the law again, which I don't like going into because it's domestic abuse stuff. And I just don't want a bar of that sort of stuff, along with all the other stuff that goes on there. We're just not interested in it. It's no fun. But I believe he's got some trouble there too, Alden Smith. So who knows if he even plays. Nothing I'm excited about adding, but look, I'm down on Seattle and I might be harsh on it. I'm not feeling them. Looking at their team though, we'll start on offense. They got some players on offense. Like Metcalf is one of the most exciting young receivers in the NFL. Tyler Lockett, again, we talked about Woods being underrated. Tyler Lockett's there with him. He's extremely underrated as well. Has put together a very good career so far. Juwan Brown, really good left tackle. Gerald Everett, solid tight end. And then you've got Russell Wilson, who he's a top 10 quarterback in my mind any day of the week, probably pushing for top 5 in most times I do a ranking. He's up there. He's very good. I really like him. Does a lot really well, slides well, does everything right. Chris Carson, big inside power running back. Love him a lot. Does a lot for the offense. My issue, and I feel like we could just go and get our preview from last year for the Seattle Seahawks, which is up front.
Mm-hmm.
defensive and offensive line. It's like they don't give a shit about that position. They've been one of the worst rated offensive lines for the last decade. I said, Juwan Brown, great left tackle. Fine. From there, I don't like any of them. Like Gabe Jackson, can he turn it around? Maybe. But him turning it around is just becoming a solid starter again, which will be great. But then what have you got? You got Shell at right tackle, who is bad. Brandon Shell is a bad tackle. Like, it's the reason he jumps from team to team all the time.
Yeah.
Damian Lewis struggled last year. They're not good.
Ethan, what's the center's name? Ethan Poke, whatever it is.
Pugh. I don't think he's playing anymore.
Oh, for real?
I had the feeling. I thought he'd. Oh, he's the rookie, isn't he? No, he's Justin Pugh's younger brother. I think I'm thinking of his older brother. What's his name? No, he's not there anymore. I didn't think he was.
Well, there you go.
You've got Damian Lewis, who played guard last year and a little bit of center, starting at center right now. As I said, and that's bound to change. But all I know is there's nothing there like that I'm excited about. You know, Juwan Brown is an old left tackle. Like, we don't even know if he's going to be good anymore. I don't know. He's going to start to drop off soon. As good as they are all around, they will struggle to consistently run the ball, especially when the weather changes and Russell Wilson's size starts to become an issue, which it does. Back end of every season, he struggles. It's no secret. Look at them down the stretch last year. Defensively, hate their defensive line. Poona Ford's okay. He's a solid D tackle. They brought back Dunlap. They re-signed him after trading from Cincinnati. Am I getting excited about a guy who is a reject from Cincinnati? He's had a great career, 32 years old. I don't know. He's got a 1-year deal. Maybe he has a good season. Benson Mayowa is their second lineman, who's I think's played for 5 teams in 4 years or something like that. I'm not excited there. I love Bobby Wagner. I really do. I'm not going to speak a bad word about him. I said Fred Warner's the best linebacker in the NFL. Wagner's not that far behind him. There was a perception that he dropped off last year. I don't actually think he did watching him. I think he was just as good still. Witherspoon was a great addition. Flowers is a solid corner, but, you know, I'm not super excited about him, but he's good. You know, I think losing Griffin was really bad for them at corner. He's a very good corner, and they've lost him. Diggs, again, had a really good year last year, but reports are that he's leaving. Quentin Dunbar's leaving, not Diggs. Diggs had a really solid year, so I think he had 5 picks, which led the team. Good player. And then Adams, who I honestly believe Jamal Adams is one of the most polarizing figures in the NFL. People either love him or they hate him. I'm leaning towards loving him, but they're trying to sell me right on a safety that led a team in sacks. Do you reckon maybe there's a reason? He had 9. Don't get me wrong. Like, 9's pretty good, but I think there's a reason he's leading the team in sacks. Why are you having to blitz your strong safety that often?
Because he can't cover.
Well, he's not a great coverage guy, but it also sells into my point that their O-line and D-line, they don't put any effort into it, so it sucks. So I know, let's come up with this wise idea to blitz a safety all the time. I don't know. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they're talented enough. I think Russell Wilson will win them enough games off his own hand. Great receiver talent. Metcalf, if he takes another leap, he could be one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's awesome. Anyway, love watching him. One of the guys, I don't think I was that high on him in the draft. One I got real wrong. And obviously, everyone in the NFL got wrong. Because if you redrafted now, he's probably top 10 comfortably. So, I don't know. What's your thoughts? How do you feel about that? I'm low on him, and I can't really explain why. I haven't got a good feeling.
Yeah, I think they'll be good. They're going to regress from last year. I just don't think they've improved talent-wise. Yeah. So, 12 wins last year. Let's call it 10 maybe this year. And you'll take a wild card with 10 wins in the NFC 100%. Comfortably.
I think that's a 3-team division. Sorry.
Yeah. Anytime you got a bordering top 5 quarterback and probably a top 5 quarterback, you're going to win 10 games. It's just how it works in the NFL. That position is that important. So with that, there's your 10 wins, there's the playoffs, and you see what happens. But I completely agree with you. They're not a team who, when they come in, you're like, yikes, we've got to stop this running game, or God, this D-line's going to be all over us. And as you and I always talk about, the game is built from the inside out. If there's nothing on you can have the best receiver in the world on the outside, and they've got just about one of the best. But, when you're just throwing it up to him, it's only going to do so much for you. You still need a complete roster, and they just don't have it.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're a playoff team, not a Super Bowl team, though.
Yeah, it's good to have a top 5 quarterback. Like,
Russell Wilson, and all this talk about him wanting to get traded, it's schmuck. They're not trading him, and I don't think he wants to trade. He's put pressure on them to make moves on the offensive line, and it's like Russell's like, look, I want to trade unless you fix my offensive line. They're like, don't worry, Russell, we got a deal coming. Don't worry, we got you, man. Gabe Jackson from the Raiders. It's like, I don't know, a right guard that has underperformed the last 2 seasons and gets paid a lot of money. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the move I wanted, but I don't think he'd leave because he's got some good pieces around him. And by the way, you couldn't get him. It's like Aaron Rodgers. There's the players you would have to give up to get a guy like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and those. It's too much. No one could. It would be that hard to make that move unless he is sitting there going, I will not play for you and I will sit on the bench for the whole season. You won't see me on the field. Unless he does that, they won't move him. And he won't do that because he's not. I don't reckon he's that kind of guy. He'll give him another year. But hey, next year, if we're in the same position where the O-line's crap still and the same thing happens this year and they fall away down the stretch and they lose a tough playoff game because they can't run the ball, all that sort of stuff, he will eventually run out of patience because he's a guy who wants to win another Super Bowl. He wants to compete. That's the sort of player he is. He's Mr. Unlimited. I'm not sure if you know.
How much, I'm just going to let that go. How much more, collateral does Pete Carroll have?
Again, I'm just throwing out hot takes tonight. Pete is fucking hotter than almost anyone else in the NFL.
You reckon it's that hot?
It's Pete Carroll, Mike McCarthy, and then every other guy. Honestly, I reckon he's got talent. He's had the team for a long time, which means that the position they are in are largely his fault because he plays GM. He is the GM of this. He makes every move. So whatever, he can't come back and go, well, the GM made me trade for Gabe Jackson. How good a move was that? The guy sucked. He's got nothing to fall back on. Now, he's made some good moves. Metcalf, great draft pick. Great pick. Jamal Adams, give up a first-round pick. I like it. Jamal Adams, there was no safety in the first-round pick this year that's going to be as good as Jamal Adams. I don't care what you say. I don't care if he can cover or not. There's no one that's going to be as explosive. And he's been banged up. Like, he has played hurt last year and the year before. Now, I'm one of those guys, Richie. Once it starts becoming a trend, are you banged up or is this just you now? Are you just continually banged up? But if he's healthy, at the Jets, he was a different sort of animal, man. He was a game changer. Like we talked about Aaron Donald and Ramsey. Like he was like that when he was at the Jets. Just that the whole team was dog shit around him. So if he gets back to that defense could be really, really good. And they were quite good down the stretch. But to answer your question the long way around, Pete Carroll's he's on a hot seat. If it doesn't work, if it's bad this year, he's gone.
Do you want to take a guess when that Super Bowl was?
When he won. When he won, or Malcolm Butler?
Malcolm Butler was the following year, so
I want to say 2014.
It's 2013 season was their Super Bowl win.
So yeah, like the February of 2014.
Of 2014.
That's what I thought around then, and then they lost it the next year, did they?
Yeah. So for those of you who lost count, it's 2021.
Yeah,
that's why I asked.
Do you know the big stat about that Super Bowl year? It's the only time the year they won the Super Bowl is the only time they have had an offensive line rated in the top 10 in the NFL for that year. In Russell.
There you go. There you go.
I could preach offensive line and defensive line all day, but some people listen and some people don't. But there are direct themes. If you have a good offensive
correlation
line,
was the word you were looking for.
Correlations. There you go. But if you have a good offensive line, you have a good offense. Like look at the Cowboys in 2016 with Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Now everyone's like, what's happened to Zeke? Why isn't he as good? He had third strings playing tackle last season. That's why running backs are wholly dependent on their offensive line. Anyway, I could go on. You know me, Rich, and I do. I go on about it all the time. It is so important. You build from the inside out, if you ask me. And this team doesn't do it, and it hurts them every year, except for 2014 when they had a top 10 and they won a Super Bowl. I rest my case. But to reiterate, playoff team for me, Seattle. I'll have them in the playoffs.
Yes.
I don't think they'll win the division. I can't. I think they'll be. I'll give my division without win-loss records. I've got Arizona at the bottom. I don't think they're going to make playoffs. I think they'll struggle this year and unfortunately might be a Cliff Kingsbury firing year, and they'll move on. Seattle Seahawks third, but a playoff team. San Fran second, and then the LA Rams for me. I'm so high on them because of the. Call me fickle, but the Stafford move, I can't get over it. It's such a great. Every time I look at it, I chuckle. Like they gave up. They got Stafford. It's awesome. Who you got?
Yeah, it'll be Snap for me. I'm so all over the Rams. I think it's just fallen beautifully for them.
Yeah, and like I said, when we do our prediction extravaganza, I'm like you, Richie. I go through every schedule and do win-loss, 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 and I see how it falls out. But that's just how I see them ranking up right now. But I do believe this is going to be a 3-team playoff division, especially with the 7 seeds now. I think you're going to have all 7 in there. I think San Fran were 2 wins off it last year. If they beat Arizona one of their games instead of losing and then win one more, they're in. That's how close it was. And they were so dinged up. They had Nick Mullins playing quarterback. Come on.
Yeah. Extra game this year too.
And an extra game. So I think 3 teams will be in. But yeah, Seattle's one that they'll drop off a bit. Probably a 9-10 win season for me. Once I got to go through it all. But yeah, that is the NFC West. Great division. AFC West and NFC West. I'm glad we started with them. They're 2 really good divisions. Like we could be so wrong with them. Like there's a world where I could see Arizona winning it. Honestly, if Kyler Murray has like an MVP season and Hopkins just goes off, AJ Green's good, the defense comes together around Buda Baker, like Nick, I could see them winning the division too. I could see San Fran, I could see Seattle, I can see them all winning it. But right now, that's where I have them. It'll probably change by the time we get to our prediction show. But Richie, thank you as always, mate. Love your work. Thank you to our Patreons, Juju Smith-Schuster jersey. Is this month's Patreon. Sign up, $10 a month. Just click on the description. Really easy. Takes about 2 minutes to do it. Every month we do a giveaway, either a signed mini helmet, signed jersey. There's tiers in there, so the more it's not like if it gets to 50 people, you only get 1 mini helmet. There's I've got it in the description. The more people we get, then the more it is. So if we get to 20, I think it's 25 signed up, it goes to 2 mini helmets or 2 jerseys a month. So you get more of a chance still. And then obviously there's a box of beer and a stubby holder. And if you think this is your box of Carlton Draft guys you get from the pub for $40, it's not. Burnley Brewing is. I'm not a big fancy beer drinker, as you know, Richie, and they have turned me. I was like, no, just give me a draft. But outstanding beer and a variety. Can't speak highly enough of Burnley Brewing. So thank you for your sponsorship, guys, and thank you for your support. It goes an absolute long way. Richie, I'll see you next week, but I'll see you tomorrow night at football training. Love your 100%. Work. Thanks as always, mate, and talk to you later.